Hello you lovely lot, my name is Max, welcome back to my YouTube channel and another Nottingham Forest Scout Report, where today we are discussing quite a heavily rumoured move actually for Costa Rican goalkeeper Keylor Navas. The 36-year-old is quite heavily rumoured, like I say, to be joining Forest over the course of this January window, and in today's video we're going to be taking the opportunity to detail his background and talk about his stats in a little bit more detail, as well as potentially some other alternatives for the goalkeeping position. So if you do enjoy these scout reports, don't forget to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Apologies for the sound of my voice, I've been a bit ill over the last week or so, but hopefully we can soldier through and get into this. So with that being said, let's start talking about Keylor Navas. Keylor Antonio Navas Gamboa was born in December 1986 in San Jose, which is the largest and capital city of the Central American country of Costa Rica. At the age of 13, Navas would join up with the academy setup of his local side, Deportivo Saprissa, like I say, his local team, who were at the time one of the most successful clubs in Costa Rica. I still believe they are 37-time league champions and 3 times CONCACAF Champions League winners over the course of their 100-year history. And between 1999 and 2005, Navas will be learning his trade in their academy before breaking through into the first team at the age of 19, having a very successful several-year stint in the first team, winning 5 league titles and a CONCACAF Champions League during that debut campaign. And his successes in his homeland would attract the interest of teams from across the Atlantic, specifically in Spain, and he would eventually link up at 24 years old with second division side Albacete in Spain. Navas though would only spend 1 season in Castilla, as Albacete would be relegated from the second division of Spanish football, despite the fact they actually had quite a decent defensive record that season. The Costa Rican would have the 9th best goals per game against over the course of the season, be one of the best goalkeepers in the league that season, and that would be why several teams in La Liga would then take an interest despite only being in Spain for 1 season. And Navas would eventually be picked up after that single campaign by Levante, and he would spend his first season in Valencia really as a hit and miss sort of second choice goalkeeper, only played 9 times in the league that campaign, would play all 12 of the team's Europa League games during their first and only European campaign to date, as they would reach the final 16 of the competition. However, things would greatly improve for the Costa Rican during his second season. He would become the first choice goalkeeper, playing 37 league games over the course of the season, and arguably being the best goalkeeper in the league during the 2013-14 season, keeping the second most clean sheets in the league and having the highest save percentage of any keeper in La Liga that season. And during this period, of course, Navas would be one of the integral parts of that Costa Rica side in the 2014 World Cup that impressed absolutely everybody, made it out of the group that contained England, Uruguay and Italy, topped that group and reached the final 8 of the World Cup, eventually being knocked out on penalties by the Netherlands. And Real Madrid would eventually come calling for the Costa Rican goalkeeper. They were looking for a long-term replacement for club legend Iker Casillas, and they thought that Navas would fit the bill, and they would eventually sign him for his €10 million release clause. The then 27-year-old would sign a 6-year deal with Los Blancos, having a 5-year trophy-laden stint in the capital of Spain, winning 1 league title and 3 Champions Leagues. But he would never really feel like the first choice keeper over a solid, consistent period over his time in Madrid. Unfortunately, Navas would only make 30 league appearances, or more than 30 league appearances, in a single season during that 5-year stint. And in that 5th and final season, Real Madrid would go out and sign Chelsea goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois, who was seen as the long-term successor to Iker Casillas, and his game time would slowly dwindle out during the latter stages of his Real Madrid career. And due to frustration, he would eventually seek an alternative challenge. And I've got to say, that was a real shame. During his time at Real Madrid, he was incredibly consistent over the 5-year stint he spent in the club. He had a 75% save percentage on average, and on average kept the clean sheet once every 3 games, which I would definitely consider him a world-class goalkeeper for putting up those numbers for one of the best teams in the world. This frustration though would lead to him, like I say, leaving the club during that 5th season, eventually landing in France with Paris Saint-Germain, having spent 3.5 years in the capital of France, having had a save percentage of around 78% during this stint and keeping a clean sheet in 45% of his matches, which is more or less the same as Alisson Becker during the same 3.5 year stint at Liverpool. But PSG would then go all in on Gianluigi Donnarumma, the long-term successor for that goalkeeping position at PSG, 12 years younger than Keylor Navas, which is incredible. But it's little wonder why he's looking to leave. He's hardly played a game over the last few seasons. He's actually not played a league match this season thus far, and I think it would be a great addition to pretty much any side as a goalkeeper with the experience that he has. Over the last 5 seasons, Navas has performed well above what expected goals would expect him to concede as a goalkeeper, having prevented close to 15 goals above expected goals since 2017, which is actually very similar to the amount of goals prevented by Alisson Becker between 2017 and 2022. I think it's pretty obvious, and I don't think I'm being pretty ambitious here, but for large stages of his career, Navas has been a world-class goalkeeper. He may not be that now, but he is a very good goalkeeper on his day. But of course, the big issue with Navas is that at 36 years old, he's not really a long-term solution to a goalkeeping position, really for any side in a top European league. So instead of diving into tactics in this video, I wanted to spend some time looking at some alternative targets that Forest have been looking at over the January window: Dominic Likovic and Darlow. We'll get into those quickly now. So the first name I want to talk about in a bit of detail is Dominic Likovic. He's probably someone that you're quite familiar with. He was the first choice goalkeeper for Croatia at the World Cup when they finished 3rd in the tournament, picking up a bronze medal, and I think it's pretty easy to say he was one of the integral parts of that team on that run to the semi-finals. He's averaged a 76% save percentage since joining his club, Dinamo Zagreb, about 5 or 6 seasons ago, and has kept clean sheets in 40% of his matches. So in terms of the pros in having him over Navas, obviously the big one is that he's 8 years younger than Navas, just 28 years old, which I think if you're looking for a long-term goalkeeper, 28 is a pretty good age to pick them up. You'd imagine they've got 5 or 6 years of top-level goalkeeper performance in the tank. His save percentage has also been as good historically as Navas during his time in Croatia, and his value of saving chances according to post-shot expected goals is as good, if not better, than the Costa Rican. Quickly, in terms of cons, there's not too many in terms of him being a worse player per se than Navas. He's got a worse penalty saving record despite his heroics at the World Cup. He's not got the best penalty saving record in domestic football. Navas is actually quite good, and he's got a worse clean sheet percentage, 40% to around 45% at PSG for Keylor Navas. And of course, if that's something that you're considering, that could potentially be seen as a weakness. The second player who has been linked to Nottingham Forest as a goalkeeping option is Newcastle goalkeeper Darlow. You'll probably be quite familiar with him. He was at the club for quite a long time. I think he came through the academy and left us around 2014, 2015, alongside Jamal Lascelles to go up to the Toon. Despite thinking he obviously had better opportunities at Newcastle, games have been very far and few between for the goalkeeper. He's played 52 Premier League games for Newcastle over 7 Premier League seasons, with a 65% save percentage at Newcastle, which this season would put him as the 4th worst goalkeeper in the Premier League who's played consistent minutes, which really isn't that great. And when you dive into his stats even more, it doesn't really get any better. He's got a very poor penalty record, a 15% save percentage from the spot, and a clean sheet rate of less than 20%. In terms of pros, I guess he wouldn't cost very much. You could probably pick him up on a loan. He wouldn't be taking up too much wages, and will probably be someone who can maybe compete for second choice with Hennessy and Smith. In terms of the cons, I think pretty much most of his game, poor save percentage, not played very much in nearly a decade at Newcastle. His penalty record is terrible, his clean sheet rate is terrible. I don't personally think he would be a very smart pickup. I'm very confused why we're looking at him as an option, but I suppose if you want him as an upgrade or someone to compete with Hennessy, maybe that's your guy. So overall, I want to take a second now to rank these 3 goalkeepers in terms of who I would go for in order. First in that list would be Likovic, who would be my top choice, my top priority. It's rumoured he's got a €10 million release clause at Dinamo Zagreb. I think that's more than worth paying. He's 28 years old. You could probably get 5 or 6 good seasons out of him if you would stay in the Premier League. Lots of top level experience, lots of experience at international level, and has actually played quite a lot of Champions League football over the last few seasons as well. And his stats very much line up with Navas, who is considered one of the best goalkeepers in the world for the last few seasons. I think Navas is a really good second choice in this list. His wages could be a bit of an issue, and of course his age isn't the best, 36 years old. He's never been the most physical goalkeeper either. But I think in terms of a short-term option until the end of the season, especially if Dean Henderson's injury is more serious or if he doesn't pick up form, I think he would be a more than safe pair of hands, and most definitely an upgrade as second choice keeper to Wayne Hennessy if that was the best that he could get. And then we have Darlow. No. Just absolutely no. I wouldn't go anywhere near Darlow as even a 3rd choice goalkeeper for Forest. We've got Jordan Smith for that. We've got Wayne Hennessy as the number 2. Darlow is by no means an upgrade on these players. I wouldn't be going anywhere near the guy as an option in goal for us whatsoever. Of course, the big question is, do we even really need a goalkeeper? Henderson's only rumoured to be missing a couple of matches. His injury isn't considered as serious as first anticipated. And if you're bringing in a keeper, particularly like Navas, on huge wages, are they going to be comfortable sitting as the number 2 goalkeeper? And can you justify having them as the number 2 goalkeeper on the wages that they would be demanding? Because I'd be very surprised if Dean Henderson was demoted to number 2 during the second half of the season, considering he's been pretty good for us over the course of the season. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below and in general on this different style of scout report where we've analysed 3 different goalkeeping options for Nottingham Forest. Maybe a more premium option, a more budget option, and then a very much budget option. Like I say, answers in the comment section down below. Whilst you're down there, don't forget to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Apologies for the sound of my voice again. I've been a bit ill over the last week or so, that's why there's not really been any videos since last week, but hopefully we can get back on the bandwagon with some more Nottingham Forest Scout reports, and of course the match previews coming to you next week when we take on Leeds. So that being said though, thank you very much for watching. I will catch you later.